Doctors are being paid extra if they put adults on gender-changing cross-sex hormone therapy. But it doesn't stop there. Young children can be put on puberty blockers too, and even children with mental disabilities can be allowed to transition with almost no medical or therapeutic pushback whatsoever. It's emerged that family doctors in Sussex will be given £178 every year for every adult which they prescribe with hormone-smashing drugs. But all too often, it seems as though there's a blind rush to allow people to make a life-changing decision without really questioning whether or not they have a mental illness or disability or what their upbringing was like. The testimony of a lady called Sinead, who transitioned into manhood aged 21 and then attempted to commit suicide before transitioning back, will haunt the corridors of whatever clinic allowed her to make such a drastic decision without any due diligence. Sinead said, "I was convinced all my problems would disappear when I became a man. I'd transitioned, though, and I still hated myself. Why had no professional tried to stop me? When I told doctors at the gender clinic that I hated my body and wanted to be a man, they never questioned why. If they had, they might have discovered that my body dysphoria wasn't the cause of my problems. No, it was the symptom." And that is it. Very often, people think that the root cause of their unhappiness is that they've been born into the wrong body, and that if they change their gender, then all their problems will just melt away. But it doesn't work like that. All too often they wake up, find that they had a double mastectomy, had their male genitals removed, and they're still miserable. They still have depression. A long-term study conducted in Sweden followed men who transitioned to be a woman for 15 to 20 years after their surgery, and it showed that they had a 20 times higher risk of suicide than others matched for their age, social class, and mental health problems. People have blood on their hands here. Selling a dream to vulnerable people, allowing them to have their bodies mutilated, their hormones rewired, only for them to kill themselves a few years later because their gender was not actually the root cause of their unhappiness. But when it comes to children, I think the transitioning industry is even more abhorrent and wrong. So let's have this right. Someone like Shamima Begum should be allowed to come back to the UK, should she? Because she was just a 15-year-old child when she was brainwashed by ISIS. She didn't know what she was doing. She was too young. She was too vulnerable. But a 10-year-old knows that they've been born into the wrong body and they need to stop themselves going through puberty, change their names and build a totally new identity. No, come on. But our courts are so afraid of being called anti-trans that they bow down and allow this to happen. Kira Bell, who herself went on puberty blockers as a child, then detransitioned, took the Tavistock Centre to court to prevent it from prescribing this medication to under-16s. But she lost on appeal. Psychotherapist Bob Withers explained why so many children, some of them with autism actually, are being given life-changing medication. He said, psychotherapists risk being struck off if they ask questions about the child's past. If they don't blindly affirm a patient's claim to be transgender, get this, they can be accused of practicing conversion therapy. So if a child has been abused and may well hate their body because of that, then they can't explore that possibility, apparently. It's madness. Withers claims that youngsters often undergo just 6 sessions to assess whether or not they are trans. Ladies and gentlemen, I think you can understand why some people call this child abuse.